Before you turn 30, I need you to stop for a moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, because there's something most people don't tell you when you're in your 20s, something that won't wait until later, something that quietly shapes the rest of your life. At 29, I realized how fast life moves, how years slip through your fingers without warning, how the small choices you make today decide what freedom, happiness, and peace look like tomorrow. When you're young, you feel invincible. You think there's always another chance, another opportunity, another start. You think time is on your side. It isn't. By the time you notice it, the patterns are set. Habits, friendships, career choices, they all start locking you into a future you didn't even choose consciously. And suddenly, freedom feels like a memory. I wasted years chasing approval, chasing comfort, chasing things that looked impressive but didn't feed my soul. I told myself, later, I'll fix it later, I'll figure it out later. Later never comes the way you imagine. I've seen people hit 30 and feel trapped in jobs that drain them, in relationships that don't lift them, in routines that steal their time and energy without them even realizing it. And they ask themselves, where did the time go? I don't want that to be you. Before you turn 30, there's something I need to share. Not advice you've heard before, not a motivational speech, something real, something that could change the trajectory of your life if you take it seriously. It's about choices, about courage, about the invisible habits that will either build the life you want or quietly steal it from you. If you listen closely, it might be the most important 2 minutes you've ever spent. Turning 30 feels like a checkpoint, but it isn't about age. It's about momentum. I remember being in my 20s thinking I had endless time to figure everything out. I thought mistakes were cheap because there was always tomorrow. I thought energy, patience, and resilience were infinite. They're not. At 25, I treated time like it owed me something. I wasted hours scrolling, overthinking, and waiting for the right moment. I waited for clarity to appear, for motivation to hit, for life to hand me opportunities. None of that happened. Life doesn't wait. Life doesn't announce itself. It moves quietly, and it expects you to move with it. The truth is, the habits you form now, small ones, invisible ones, are sculpting the rest of your life. How you spend your mornings, how you handle discomfort, how you respond to setbacks. These choices repeated daily either build a life of freedom and fulfillment or a life of frustration and regret. I had friends who seemed like they were figuring it out effortlessly. Careers skyrocketing, relationships thriving, experiences stacking up. Meanwhile, I was busy being comfortable, safe, and busy doing things that looked productive but went nowhere. I thought I could catch up later. Catching up later is expensive and sometimes impossible. Fear is another trap. At this age, it whispers constantly. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of making the wrong choice. I listened to it too much. I stayed in situations that drained me. I avoided opportunities that could have changed everything. Every time I chose comfort over courage, I lost a little of my future. But here's the part most people never tell you. Courage doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from showing up anyway, from making decisions even when the outcome is uncertain, from saying yes to growth when your instincts are screaming, stay safe. Before 30, you still have the advantage of time. Mistakes won't crush you. Energy is on your side. You can pivot, rebuild, and create momentum if you act now. The question is, will you let this decade define you, or will you define it? By the time you're approaching 30, the consequences of ignored choices start catching up with you. I didn't notice it at first. I thought mistakes were temporary. That time would heal all of them. That opportunities lost could somehow be reclaimed. But life doesn't work like that. It's patient, but it's relentless. Every decision or indecision adds up. I spent years chasing things that looked important but didn't matter. Jobs that impressed others, projects that filled my ego, relationships that felt convenient but hollow. I thought I was living, but mostly I was avoiding discomfort, avoiding honesty, avoiding responsibility. And the quietest losses are often the most powerful. Time with people I loved but didn't prioritize. Conversations I should have had but postponed. Skills I could have learned but ignored. Every later I promised myself became a regret I carried silently. You might be thinking you still have time, and you do, but not unlimited time, not without cost. Every day you ignore your growth. Every day you let fear dictate your choices. You're paying a price. Sometimes it's invisible now, but it compounds. Here's something I learned too late. Your 20s are the foundation, not the warm-up, not the practice round. The choices you make now, how you spend your energy, who you let into your life, what you tolerate and what you refuse, will ripple through decades. I wish someone had told me that the path of least resistance is the easiest to take, but it's also the most dangerous. Comfort is a slow thief. It lulls you into satisfaction while quietly stealing your potential. I watched peers who embraced discomfort, who invested in themselves, who acted when others hesitated. By 30, their lives looked different, not because they were luckier or smarter, but because they were intentional. And the biggest lesson? Fear and uncertainty are part of life. They're not signals to stop. They're signals that growth is happening. The sooner you step into that fear, the stronger and freer you become. Before 30, you have a chance to build momentum that carries you forward, to act while energy and time are still your allies, to shape the life you want instead of reacting to what life gives you. One of the hardest lessons I learned before 30 is about relationships. Real ones, not just the ones that feel easy or convenient. When you're young, you think people are replaceable, friends, romantic partners, mentors. You assume there will always be someone to call, someone to lean on, someone who will be there later. But later doesn't wait. Later comes with distance, change, or sometimes finality. I spent years holding on to connections that didn't serve me because I was afraid of being alone. I avoided hard conversations, postponed apologies, and tolerated situations that made me smaller than I wanted to be. At the time, it felt harmless. It felt safe. But it was quietly shaping the life I would eventually live. And then there are the relationships you avoid starting, the risks you don't take because fear whispers not now. That person you could learn from, that opportunity to grow, that love that could change you. Every time you step back, life moves forward without you. I remember one friendship I neglected, thinking I had time. I was busy, distracted, focused on my own path. Years later, when I finally reached out, things had shifted irreversibly. Life had moved them somewhere I couldn't follow, and I was left with nothing but memories of what could have been. Here's what I learned. The people you choose to surround yourself with in your 20s become the environment that shapes your 30s, 40s, and beyond. They can lift you or they can limit you. Don't just choose based on comfort or convenience. Choose based on honesty, respect, and growth. Be brave enough to leave people who drain your energy. Be brave enough to lean into people who challenge and inspire you. And remember, love isn't always about finding someone perfect. It's about being willing to show up, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it scares you. It's about valuing depth over ease, meaning over momentary pleasure. Before 30, you still have the power to curate your life, your habits, your work, your relationships. Every choice is like planting a seed. Some will bloom into opportunity. Some will wither if neglected. Don't wait for someone else to teach you this. Don't wait for life to force it on you later. By the time you're nearing 30, money starts feeling different. Not scary yet, but urgent. Not because you need luxury, but because you realize freedom has a price. When I was younger, I treated money like a bonus, not a tool. I spent carelessly, thinking I'd make more later. I avoided learning how it worked, assuming life would sort itself out. Later didn't. Later brought stress, missed opportunities, and a quiet frustration I couldn't shake. Here's the thing no one tells you. Financial habits are built quietly in your 20s, and they compound faster than you think. Every dollar you waste, every habit you ignore, every skill you fail to learn is quietly shaping your future self. Debt isn't just numbers, it's a leash. It limits your options, saps courage, and forces compromises you don't even realize you're making. I watch people earn more and stress more. Others earned less and slept better. The difference wasn't income, it was discipline, awareness, and foresight. Before 30, saving isn't boring. It's powerful. Investing in skills isn't risky. It's survival. Learning how money works isn't optional. It's one of the few tools that can genuinely expand your freedom. The earlier you start, the more leverage you have. Every habit, every choice, every step toward financial responsibility now grows exponentially. The later you start, the heavier the burden. But it's not just numbers. It's respect for your future self. If you ignore money now, you're stealing time and options from the person you'll become, and that cost doesn't go away. It follows you quietly, waiting until later when it feels impossible to catch up. At 30, you won't suddenly get a second chance to form the habits that could have freed you. The freedom you feel in your 30s, 40s, and 50s depends heavily on what you start doing now. Discipline doesn't feel glamorous, but it compounds quietly. Start small, start consistent. Your future self will thank you. Before you turn 30, this is what I wish someone had looked me in the eyes and said. Your life doesn't change all at once. It changes quietly. It changes in the moments when no one is watching, in the choices you make when you're tired, in what you do when motivation is gone, in what you tolerate because it feels easier than changing. At this age, you're not behind, but you are becoming someone. Every year you repeat the same patterns. They get harder to break. Every year you avoid the truth. It gets louder. And one day life stops asking gently and starts demanding answers. I don't want that moment to catch you off guard. You don't need to become a completely different person overnight. You don't need to have everything figured out. That's a lie people tell to feel in control. What you need is direction. One honest decision that moves you forward. One habit that respects your future. One boundary that protects your energy. One risk that scares you but excites you at the same time. That's how real change starts. Stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is a feeling that rarely comes. Action is what creates it. Stop waiting for confidence. Confidence is built after you show up, not before. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time doesn't exist. There is only now and what you choose to do with it. Before 30, you still have room to fail and recover, to pivot without being defined by your past, to build momentum instead of explaining regret. But that room shrinks faster than you think. One day, you'll wake up and realize the years you were given freely are now years you must protect carefully. And what you build now determines how heavy or how free those years feel. So ask yourself something honestly. If your life stayed exactly the same for the next 5 years, would you be proud of where you end up? If the answer is no, don't panic. Move. Change one thing, then another, then another. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need consistency. You need courage. You need to take yourself seriously because no one else will do that for you. If this message hits something inside you, don't ignore it. That feeling isn't random, it's awareness, and awareness is rare. Share this with someone who's about to turn 30, someone who feels lost but hasn't admitted it yet, someone who needs this reminder as much as you did. And if you want more reminders like this, reminders that keep you grounded, focused, and honest with yourself, stay here, subscribe, come back when life gets noisy and you forget what matters. Before you turn 30, you still have a choice.